Last time on Shadow Piece, the battle between the two forces of Elbaf was getting closer to its climax. Stanson, Goldberg, and Road of the new giant warrior pirates got defeated, but so did Canon Loki. Thus, the number advantage remains with the Fleet of Death, as Hyrule, Tyr, and Gerd are standing against Prince Loki and Fleet Admiral Loki. The giants had been like a storm in the area of Hachinosu they had been in. Their battle had broken in thunder and lightning. Each strike revealed the chaos across Hachinosu's fractured streets. Walls buckled, towers half collapsed, rivers of seawater sneaking through rubble and blood. The air was thick with smoke and steam, the ground trembling beneath the weight of the giants still clashing with the remaining two Lokis. And at the center of it, like the eye of a cyclone, stood Fleet Admiral Loki, tall, unyielding, and utterly still beside his counterpart, Prince Loki. Prince Loki's breathing was ragged, but his posture remained defiant. Fleet Admiral Loki's eyes scanned every movement in a radius of 30 paces, anticipating threats before they even took form. Anytime a fist, axe edge, or blade tip came close, the Admiral's body blurred. He would parry, counter, or warp space itself to force a miss. Prince Loki barely had to lift his own weapon. Even in this storm of blades, he remained untouched. Hyrule, standing across the rain-slick courtyard, felt his jaw tighten. He had seen battles where comrades protected each other, where captains guarded subordinates, but this was different. This was dependence, one fighter living entirely on the borrowed strength of another. It stirred something hot and bitter in his chest. Beside him, Tyr crouched low, sword tilted slightly, eyes fixed on the Admiral's footwork. "They move as one," Tyr said under his breath. "We can't break him while they're side by side." Gerd's voice came from the shadows of a shattered portico behind them. "Then we don't try to break them head on, we peel them apart." The rain hissed as it struck her axe's edge. She had been watching too, not the swings of their weapons, but the rhythm of their guard. Fleet Admiral Loki always shifted a half step to keep Prince Loki at his back, his body between him and the enemy. It was a perfect shield, too perfect. "All shields have a blind side," she murmured. "We just need him to turn." The island shook again, making the giant warriors remember that their battle wasn't the only one happening on this island right now. The island was a mess of upturned stone, toppled statues, and collapsed archways, perfect for breaking sightlines and forcing movement. Gerd's mind was already mapping out the paths needed. The plan took shape in seconds. Tyr would pressure them from the right, pushing both Lokis towards the debris-choked archways. Hyrule would feint from the front, driving the Admiral's focus on him. Gerd would then circle behind, using the wreckage to stay hidden until the opening came. The first move was Tyr's. He exploded from cover, feet hammering through puddles, sword drawing a crimson arc in the sky. The Admiral moved instantly, pulling Prince Loki into his shadow and turning to intercept the strike. Hyrule came in the next heartbeat, his massive fist crashing towards them. Fleet Admiral Loki caught it on the flat of his blade, the impact cracking the stones underfoot. Still, Prince Loki barely shifted, content to let his counterpart do the work. "Pathetic," Hyrule spat, pulling back for another swing. Gerd was already in motion as well. Silent on the wet stone, she ducked under a half-fallen beam, then vaulted a broken railing. A jagged pillar gave her cover as she crept closer. The Admiral's stance was unbreakable, unless something forced him to commit his full weight for just an instant. An instant was all that they needed. Her fingers tightened on her axe, the storm roared, and she moved. With a burst of speed, she surged from behind the pillar, swinging her axe in a wide, low cut, not at the Admiral, but at the debris beside them. The strike shattered a chunk of fractured column, sending it rolling straight towards Prince Loki's legs. He flinched back, startled. For the first time, the Admiral's perfect positioning broke. He stepped wide to catch the incoming threat, his body pulling away from Prince Loki. "Now!" Gerd's shout cut through the sounds of war. Tyr was already there, his sword stabbing between the two Lokis, cutting the space like a wedge. Hyrule moved in from the front, shoulder first, slamming into the Admiral's chest and driving him backwards. The separation was only 3 steps, but that was all they needed. Prince Loki blinked, suddenly exposed, and brought his guard up far too late. Tyr's first strike rang against his guard, driving him into a stagger. Hyrule followed with a low hook to the ribs, the blow thudding deep into muscle and bone. Prince Loki tried to counter, swinging wildly, but his stance was sloppy without the Admiral's constant adjustments, and his stamina, well, that was already quite low. "You don't know how to fight without him, do you?" Tyr's voice was a blade in the rain. How have you become so much weaker since the tournament in Elbaf? He quickly added on. Prince Loki snarled and lunged, but his strike was pure desperation, easy for Tyr to sidestep. Hyrule caught his arm, yanking him forward into a brutal knee to the gut. Water sprayed from the impact as the prince doubled over. Fleet Admiral Loki tried to warp back into position, but Gerd was there to block him, her axe meeting his blade with a shower of sparks. She pressed him hard, forcing him to turn his back on the prince to defend himself. Every time he tried to disengage, she shifted to cut him off, dragging him farther away from his counterpart. Prince Loki's swings were growing weaker, his breathing harsher. Tyr and Hyrule didn't rush to victory. They herded him, forced him into making mistakes. Tyr's blade slashed shell lines across his arms, disrupting his grip. Hyrule's fists broke his guard again and again. The rain had made the flagstones slick, and twice the prince nearly lost his footing. "You thought you needed 4, Hyrule growled between strikes, but he's just a shadow. I was here. I was always here." Something in those words cracked the prince's rage. His eyes widened for a fraction of a second. Confusion, recognition, shame. It was now that he noticed that in a way, Tyr and Hyrule were trying to teach him how to fight like a proper Elbaf warrior. He swung again, but slower now, his mind breaking faster than his body. Tyr dodged in low, sweeping the prince's legs. Hyrule's fist came up like a hammer, catching Loki across the jaw. The prince hit the ground hard, his belly vibrating pathetically. Hyrule and Tyr walked up to him slowly. He didn't make any moves to get back up again. He looked up at Hyrule, chest heaving. "It was you," he whispered. "Not him. It was always you?" Hyrule stared back, saying nothing. The prince's eyes fluttered, then closed. His body went slack. In that instant, the storm around them seemed to pause. Fleet Admiral Loki froze mid-parry against Gerd. His gaze shot towards the fallen prince, and then his form shimmered, edges unraveling like smoke and wind. A violent gust ripped through the courtyard as his body dissolved into nothing, drawn away to a place none of them could follow. Silence fell between the Elbaf warriors. Gerd lowered her axe, breathing hard. Tyr sheathed his sword with a single smooth motion. Hyrule stood over his unconscious brother, not a smile on his face, despite having won the battle. Around them, the surviving Lokis melted back into the shadows, beaten but not dead. The giants of the new giant warrior pirates regrouped. "Tyr, Gerd, pick up our Nakama and also take Loki with you. I don't want him to die here," Hyrule told his crew members firmly. Tyr nodded and was about to rush off together to defeat the new giant warrior pirates when he heard Gerd tease their captain. "Oh, so you're gonna act like a proper big brother now, huh, Hyrule?" She chuckled at him. "In the end, you are just a big softie after all." He had nothing to say in return, and he also knew that if he were to argue with her, there was no way he could win to begin with. "Just do it, Gerd," he shouted at her, hiding his light embarrassment with another statement. "I will go see if there's anyone that needs my help. Don't come back to the island. You are too exhausted anyways. That also counts for you, Tyr." With that, the two last conscious members of the new giant warrior pirates carried their allies and now Loki away. In the end, they won, determining the future of Elbaf and so much more, but the war was still far from being over. And this is the end of today's episode of Shadow Piece, and the end of the section of the new giant warrior pirates. Hyrule is not gone from this war yet, but as a group, they are done. They managed to defeat Loki, they managed to secure the future of Elbaf, and so much more, as I said before. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Loki section of this story. My Loki is done, I can tell you this much. So, all that to be said from me for now is stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. Pyro, out. Bye.